Call to order the regular town commission meeting of October the 22nd. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Mayor Tompeck,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Here.
Commissioner Burrell,
Here.
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield.
Here.
Okay, we have no proclamations or presentations this evening. I do have one public comment card. It's for the discussion on stringers, so we'll call you at that time rather than now. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? If not, a motion to approve?
Mayor?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, you.
Yeah, if the commission doesn't mind, I'd like to delay the discussion on my evaluation until the next meeting. Mariah Pierce, our finance director, has been really the one that's handled it all. I've been hands-off with it, and she's in a training seminar all week for finance, and I'd rather her be here, and then if each of you have an opportunity, if you want to go look at the evaluations, you can do so, and I would feel better. I haven't even seen them, so if that's okay with y'all, I'd like to remove that from the agenda.
Okay, that's item 11B.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as provided, striking item 11B and postponing it to a future meeting.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck.
Yes. That brings us down to the consent agenda. Any discussion or a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender.
Sure.
That brings us to item 7, public hearing, second reading of ordinance number 468, marijuana dispensary. Definitions. Would the town attorney please read the title into the record?
This ordinance number 468 is an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Sewell, Point, Florida, amending Chapter 82 zoning, Article 1 in general, Section 82-1 definitions to amend the definitions for medical marijuana and medical marijuana dispensary, and amending Article 5 supplementary regulations, Section 82-398 medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities to remove the term, quote, medical, close quote, and for other purposes, providing for severability, the repeal of conflicting ordinances, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? Seeing none, is there any discussion with the commission?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 468.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell.
Yes.
Next item is also a second reading of ordinance number 469, marijuana use in public places. Would the town attorney please read the title into the record?
Yes, ordinance number 469 is an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Sewell, Point, Florida, amending Chapter 38, streets, sidewalks, and other public places, Article 3, public place, by adding Section 38-62, marijuana smoking on public streets and sidewalks prohibited, and for other purposes, providing for severability, the repeal of conflicting ordinances, codification, and an effective date.
Are there any public comments?
I'll make a motion.
Seeing none, how about the town commission? Or a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kurzman.
Yes.
Okay, those are two items that we discussed at the last meeting, and there wasn't a whole lot of comments last time, so one wouldn't expect to be a lot this time as well. Next item is a first reading of ordinance number 470 on dock structures. Would the town attorney please read the title into the record?
Ordinance number 470 is an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Sewell Point, Florida, amending Chapter 62 Marine Activities, Facilities, and Structures, Article 3 Marine Structures, Division 2 Marine Structure Regulations, Subdivision 1 in general, Section 62-132 definitions to add a definition for dock gazebo, amending Section 62-151 to provide for nonconformities, amending Subdivision 3 technical requirements and standards, Section 62-175 boat lift covers, to add regulations for dock gazebos, and amending Section 62-176 to provide for alternative compliance and for other purposes, providing for severability, repeal of conflicting ordinances, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the public? Please come on up. Sure.
My name's Jay Goldwasser. So I have a property under contract on North Sewell Point Road, and I have an application in the DEP to get a dock approval. Is this going to affect me? I know you're not allowed there to put any shade, gazebos, or anything. It's just a dock like everybody else has with a boat lift. Does this affect me or not?
I don't believe it does. Jack is,
No, this is only. Good evening, Jack Reisinger, building official. This is only the structures on a dock. It has nothing to do with the actual dock structures. We're not changing anything with docks. That's DEP that approves those. So we go along with what DEP approves.
okay, thank you. Any other public comments? The lights are lighting up, so I guess it's time for commission comments. Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes, I think this looks pretty, it looks like Glenn just kind of used the same basic structure as for the boat lift covers, but made it for dock gazebos. I did see one typo on page 32 of our agenda, which is page 9 of 11. 9 of 11. Oh, wait till you get there.
What section?
It's at the very top of page 9 of 11, section, yeah, right there. I think that should, since this is all about the dock gazebos, it should say a dock gazebo instead of a boat lift cover.
You are correct.
Okay,
Good catch. Sorry.
no problem.
Is there any,
That's it for me, no.
Commissioner Brill?
So this won't affect anybody that's rebuilding after they got hit with the storm that we just had. Am I correct in saying that?
I think they're allowed, they have to bring it back to its original condition. I don't think they'll have to do anything extra based on this. That's the question you're asking.
Yeah, that's
a
a-
question to Jack.
It all depends, and if it's a non-conforming structure that exists today, and say it were to blow apart with a tornado, they wouldn't be allowed to rebuild a non-conforming structure. They would have to abide by what the ordinance is. But if they had repairs that they needed to do on a non-conforming structure, they're allowed to do the repairs to keep it going.
Well, that doesn't seem right to me. I mean, that doesn't seem right. If they're allowed to make a repair on a
Sure.
on a non-conforming structure, but they can't replace the one that just got destroyed?
That's the way that it's a
That's why I'm asking
Call
now.
it non-conforming.
Yeah, I know, but that's why I'm asking now. So that if somebody did get hit with a tornado, which somebody recently did, that they can't build their dock structure back the way it was if it doesn't conform with this ordinance.
The
Even
way
though-
the ordinance is correct. We do have some boathouses that are still in existence today that have 4 walls on those boathouses. If somebody were to come into the office today and ask for a boathouse with 4 walls, they would be rejected because it doesn't allow it in the ordinance.
I
But if
got it.
somebody's boathouse gets destroyed in a tornado, they wouldn't be permitted to build it again because like you said, ordinance do change in what the commission has decided, hey, we don't want those anymore. Otherwise, they would continue to allow them. So they let them wear away, and as they go away either by deterioration or destroyed, it then becomes, everything then becomes conforming to the ordinance or the new ordinances.
Okay. I just don't think it's right that somebody has to do that, considering that they already,
Well, that would be like if a house were built in, say, 1950 and it didn't have the proper hurricane codes to it, and it were to be destroyed by the storm, they couldn't build it to the same code and bring in the same plans and say, hey, it was fine for all those years, I want to build it again. They'd have to abide by the new code.
yeah, but we're just talking about a gazebo.
Well, we're talking about a structure, but, and that's the
We're
whole
not
thing.
talking about a house.
Correct, I get it, but I'm just using the same,
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Jack, I wouldn't,
stay,
I wouldn't
I'd
leave,
stay
I
out.
wouldn't leave yet.
Sorry.
my hour.
Vice Mayor Fender.
Just for my clarification, my understanding of this ordinance was to correct a wording change in the boat lift cover ordinance we put in about 6 months ago to not include things that were not related to boat lifts. Am I incorrect about that? Because I see this goes a little farther now and adds the concept of a gazebo. So is the concept now that we are allowing the gazebo to?
We allowed them before the code change about 6 months ago. During the code change, that was deleted, the gazebo part, or the covered dock is what we call them. And it was defined more as a gazebo-like structure. But that was omitted during the
But
rewrite.
we want to allow it.
So we put it back the way it was, basically.
To
This
allow.
is well, we've always did allow them.
Yeah.
But we put it back the way it was. So really, the only change was if you were to just scramble this thing back up and say, okay, let's just start over again, we've added the covered boat lift, special permit for the canvas covered boat lifts on the lower side of the island. Okay, that's basically what comes out of this after the dust settles. That's what came out of this whole thing. We put the ordinance back the way it was and allow for low-lying properties to cover their boats or dock, but they would need a special permit for either one because they fall within that criteria that it can't be higher than their grade.
So how does this affect a gazebo?
Same thing. If they wanted a half a gazebo on their dock, they would have to file for a zoning variance and to allow it, because unless they're on the other side of the town where they've got the height, they would be permitted, again, same thing. And that's the way it's always been. They were always allowed, but they couldn't do it on this side.
Oh, so the allowance is on the west side,
They've always allowed it on the west.
but this ordinance doesn't change it to allow it now on the east side.
It doesn't, but unless they get a zoning, to change a variance.
Okay, understood, thank you.
I have a couple of quick questions. The first one is, are there any other potential structures that we might want to consider? We did the boat covers, and now we're doing the gazebos. Is somebody going to come up with something else that we have to change this ordinance again?
No, we went over this quite a few days with the town manager and then the assistant attorney. And because we wanted to put it back the way it was, basically. And it does fit all of those boxes, checked all the boxes on that, because it covers any structure that is on a dock, is basically what it says. So whether it's a boat cover or a gazebo, it's covered. And it doesn't allow things such as storage boxes or walled structures.
Okay, I also got a little bit confused. You've got the definition of dock gazebos on page 28, and it says private residential dock may not have more than a one-sided dock gazebo as provided in this section. And when you go back to section 2 on page 3 of 11, or page 26 of our package, it talks about an open-sided structure. So I'm confused the difference between an open-sided structure and a one-sided dock gazebo, what does that mean?
I think the intention there, and maybe it's, again, it's another typo that's in here, wasn't it, the intention was to have one gazebo,
It should be,
and then the gazebo itself has no sides to it?
it should be that a private residential dock may have not more than one open-sided
Okay.
dock. So,
all right.
so the word sided is missing out of that. So that's a typo. Because we don't want anything with any sides on there that's subject to wind.
Yeah, gotcha. I guess and this is not, this was not in the part that was changed, but on on page 511 or page 28 of the packet, under boat lift covers, under item 2, you say the plan shall be engineered so that the boat lift cover will be constructed of materials in a manner that will, in all probability, withstand winds of 170 miles an hour. I don't, in all probability, shouldn't be in there, okay? I mean, they've got an engineer who's certifying that this thing will handle 170 mile-an-hour winds. So in the all probability, that doesn't mean anything here. So I think we should strike that. From an engineering standpoint, in all probability doesn't mean anything. And I'm going to sound stupid, but I don't know what a chicky hut is.
It's a term used in the Florida Building Code, cheeky hut.
Cheeky? Okay.
It's a natural structure built by either the Miccosukee Indians or Seminole Indian tribe, in which they have to prove that's who actually constructed it. But they're omitted from the, being regulated by the Florida Building Code.
Okay. I think that's all I had. Any more comments, or did you get all
I
the?
just wanted to recap, so
Sure.
page 28 of the packet, item number 2, we're going to take out the words "in all probability."
Yeah, I think so. I'm not, to be honest with you, I hate the wording in number 1 there, but it was already there, and I guess everybody was okay with it. It gives me a headache to read that, but I understand what it's saying.
Okay. So we'll take out "in all probability," we'll add "open-sided," because it says one, say open-sided dock in letter B. And then on page 32, we're going to change the words "boat lift cover" to a dock gazebo.
What's that last, where's the reference on that last one?
Was on the top of page 32, and it did say a boat lift cover, and it's going to change to a dock gazebo. In the very top, the very first line.
Okay. Motion to approve the first reading and with the comments to be incorporated into the second reading.
I'll make the motion with the changes we just discussed.
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor Tompeck,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes,
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us down to item 10, old business, communications plan, Snyder Marketing Solution and Events. Mr. Daniels.
Yes, going back in history, probably 6 to 8 months ago, we, actually, it was probably even longer, it was probably about 10 months ago, we had discussed the communication plan. I think the plan itself was even in one of my iterations of objectives, and we basically came back with a proposal that we had from Snyder Events and Marketing, and Rachel Snyder, who has put this plan together for our town, is here tonight. And so I don't know if you all have an opportunity, if you want to just hit some of the highlights of the plan, but we're all set, and Rachel, will you come up?
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Thank you for having me back. As Bob was explaining, we had the opportunity to write the communications plan for the town of Sewell's Point. I believe it was included in your packet. So last time I was here, we talked about outlining strategies for communicating with residents, stakeholders, and the public at large so the town of Sewell's Point can effectively inform, engage, and connect with its community members, fostering trust, transparency, and civic participation. So we were able to put this plan together kind of based on that. It includes an introduction and guiding principles, and then our goals and objectives, which were, again, community engagement, increasing transparency, communication effectiveness, and measurable objectives. So this is a living, breathing, working document and plan, and generally how communication plans work for a town or a village the size of the town of Sewell's Point is as such. I didn't deem it necessary for a 300-page document that was so detailed that it gave everybody a headache when reading it. So I hope you were able to effectively put something on paper so you guys have a guideline, but know that it's always alive, working, and breathing. It can be changed at any point in time. This is a draft. We did meet with staff, departments, and and the town of Sewell's Point Police Department to go over what we put together to make sure it would be in line and reasonable with actually acting out this communications plan. You'll see a large part of this is actually crisis communication plan. I just want to be clear that that is something that there needs to be a second internal meeting for this crisis communication plan with staff and PD and perhaps commission. I don't think it's something that needs to be published on the website because it is a crisis communication plan. Sometimes plans are put on the website. I don't know if you guys intend to do that or not. I just suggest not putting the details of a crisis communication plan out there for the public to see. I think it's something that internally needs to be met about, and all of these, if you guys decide to move forward with it, I think they need to be assigned to designated individuals that you all are comfortable with. I do suggest, if this is accepted or adopted, meeting about it sooner than later, because in the time of crisis is not the time to have this meeting and assign people for the roles that we've outlined here.
If I can, just, a perfect example, we've never, well, I'm not going to say we never, but we didn't expect to have a tornado touchdown in Sewell's Point. Obviously, Martin County didn't expect to have 15 of them touch down. So, but those are types of situations that if it was worse of a direct hit or whatever you call with a tornado hitting you, but, that could have easily been a crisis, of housing, transportation, infrastructure, all of that. So, it's important that we're out front and understand, who's the person that's out speaking, whether it's the mayor, the manager, or a third party that we work with Rachel and her group. So, those are things that, we just need to work out as a team. So if something were to happen again that was more serious, we could address it effectively. Sorry, I didn't mean to take away your...
No, thank you for engaging. I agree. That's a very good example, Bob. If this building perhaps was hit and you guys are operating everything out of this building, that would have probably been a crisis. And again, we try to touch on everything we can, but it also is important to understand that there's different types of crisis. So the type of crisis it is will obviously depend on the actions here. We did our best to kind of include everything for a good guideline for the town and a good starting point. I'm not sure if you guys have all had a chance to go through it or not, but do you have questions, concerns?
I don't have any questions, concerns. I agree with you. I'm really interested to see how we develop this crisis communication plan. It's critical. It's not only for violent storms, but it could also be for some personnel issue that pops up here that you really have to, go back to the public and let them know what's going on. So there's a lot of aspects to this, and I think it's going to be, I think it's a real critical thing that we get that started and have a chance to discuss it.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Fender?
I'm just going to thank you for the great work. I'm less focused on the importance, the crisis communication is critically important, and I'm sure it'll be handled effectively over time. But I can just say that we've been in desperate need of a solid communication process, and I've seen it improve in the last year since you've started sending out the really professional-looking social media blasts and email blasts. So I just want to thank you for your great work.
Thank you so much, and we are always here to meet or discuss any improvements that you guys see fit. Please, I'm always open.
Well, having an articulated plan that looks as professional as this is also a benefit, so thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brooks?
So you send these to email addresses, I'm assuming, correct?
No, we do not send out the Town of Sewell's Point Communications Plan. It's something more of like an internal guideline for commission, staff, and the police department to work off of and know that there's guidelines in place for anything from, if I go back to my goals, or the goals here, anything from community engagement all the way through a crisis communication.
Yeah, I see that, but I'm saying here, do you send out to addresses, to homes, to addresses, or to email
I
addresses?
mean, the actual communication
Yeah,
you're talking
right.
about, not the plan, the
Right,
communication.
I'm not worried about the
So-
plan.
I'm so sorry, I misunderstood. You're talking about the spotlight that we
Yes.
send out. So we actually do both. So the commission spotlight that you see that comes out every other Friday is sent to email addresses that are provided to us by the town. And I think they're updated on a quarterly basis at this point. And then the printed newsletter that we send out every 3 months is actually mailed to your mailbox to coincide with all of
Okay.
the residents.
So Spotlight would, would really allow the residents to see what ordinances are coming up or what may affect the town, and who makes that decision?
Correct. We report on the commission meetings after they're over. So we watch them every single week or every other week, every meeting, and then we report on them. The following day, we meet with staff. It's usually Bob and or Mariah, and go over what we made notes on that we think are something that's important, or all of the things, based on the agenda and the meeting and how it went, what needs to be reported on.
Okay.
And then that's approved or discussed or changed in our meeting the next day. And then we go back to the office and we actually write the spotlight and then send it back to both Mariah and Bob, and it's not sent out until it's approved by either or.
Okay, and so it goes for all new things that are coming up. You do deal with the administration over new things as well.
Correct.
Okay,
But we
that's fine.
report on everything after the meeting is over. So, for instance, if there's like a first reading of something, you probably wouldn't see that till the second reading, and it's something that's actually voted on. We try to differ a little bit from the meeting minutes, just so we're providing a little bit more context and the information rather than, than the governmental meeting minutes. No offense, April.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I don't think so. Is there a, let me see, I think we needed a motion to approve the communications plan?
Yes.
Do we have one?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Fender,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes,
Commissioner Kurzman,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield,
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, that brings us to item 11, new business, alternate use stringers. And I think we're going to start out with a presentation by the town planner. Good evening, Bonnie.
Hi, how doing? For the record, Bonnie Landry, consultant to the town as planner. The item before you is an alternative use application for the restaurant that is currently known as Stringers, but it will be renamed as The Catch. Nick Darley, the owner of Stringers in the Harbor Bay Plaza, is requesting the town commission consider the addition of this current restaurant to include packaged beverage to be located in the part of the restaurant that is currently a banquet room. Section 82 of your code, permitted uses for B1, provides for other uses which the town decides are in the same character as the permitted uses and would not be detrimental to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the B1 zoning district. The banquet room currently has a door to the outside, which would become the entrance of the packaged beverage store. The use of packaged beverages is classified as beer, wine, and liquor retailers. Mr. Darley has provided evidence of approval from the property owner / landlord for Harbor Bay Plaza, as well as an existing license that he has for another restaurant that he intends to transfer to this new location. The applicant has stated that this request would not be detrimental to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of B1 zoning district because his goal is to run the restaurant and package store in a professional manner that coincides with the town's standards and best interest. I reviewed this request against the current land development regulations, specifically B1 zoning district, and the B1 zoning district includes stores and shops for retail use, and we believe that this is a retail use and there would not be a detriment to the town. I also reviewed this request against your comprehensive plan. The future land use is commercial corridor, and it looks at a business that would attract within 3-mile radius. This is an existing restaurant that is along that commercial corridor and could provide packaged beverages to the surrounding neighborhood, and currently there's no access within that 3-mile range for packaged beverages. So we find that in compliance. This is a retail use that could provide goods to the surrounding neighborhood, so we found that to be in compliance. We also conferred with the police and building departments, and neither the police chief nor the building official had any concerns for this proposal. And staff recommendation is to approve this request with the following conditions. The applicant shall not add a drive-through window. The applicant would restrict his hours of operation to the following times. Monday through Thursday and Sunday, the packaged liquor store would close no later than 10 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, the packaged liquor store would close no later than 11 p.m. That concludes my presentation, but the applicant is here to provide you an overview of what he plans to do.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to consider this for us. I echo what Bonnie said as well, as far as running the store in such a way that would be respectable to the community. We have every intention to do that. We want this to be a good thing for the town of Sewell's Point. We think it could add a nice incentive. One of the things that's come up as far as ways we can make this good for everybody. I know Harbor Bay Gourmet used to be a popular store that sold wines and gift baskets of such and charcuterie boards and all that sort of thing. We've thought about ideas of how we can incorporate that. A friend of mine has even kind of encouraged me to get in contact with the owner of Harbor Bay Gourmet and kind of talk about what has worked, what didn't work so well in there to dial it in. But any thoughts or recommendations, we'd be happy to hear you.
Okay, before we pepper you with some questions, let's get some public comments. First up is Ronnie Piccolo.
Yeah,
Listening to what just happened here, I have changed a little bit of information that I was going to discuss. Communication is the key. I have spoken to a number of people who are not happy with this Stringer situation. To pay a consultant to produce something after the fact is not communication, it's not transparency. You would have had more people here if there was some kind of email blast sending out information about what was going to be discussed here tonight. That is not transparency the way this is being done. As for what was just said, We have Publix selling liquor not that far from here. I don't know whether it's 3 miles, I should have clocked it. We have Walgreens selling liquor in the other direction. Why would we do something in Sewell's Point to sell liquor? There has to be another purpose in that space. People have talked about a breakfast place, whatever. It is not my business truly what goes in that space, but it is my business that we are now directing people to come and buy liquor in Sewell's Point. That's not Mayberry. That is not what we all intended here. It is sad to me that there are not more people sitting here when they discussed it with me and they really were not happy. People in town must understand that we are not interfering with free enterprise here. Sewell's Point, as an entity, has a right to say what goes in that space. I verified that. I just didn't take that off the top of my head. The residents have to know that we are within our rights to do this. They don't know. It really should have been sent out, so there would have been more people here. I don't know why I'm at the center point here, people discussing it with me. I am a nobody, I am not on the commission, but I do have a voice, and I really feel that this should at least be tabled until we have a better communication with the residents, telling them what's the possibility there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Carol Ball?
I'm Carol Ball on Heritage Way. I've been here 35 years. And the reason I moved to Sewell's Point because I like the demographics. I like the feeling we have here. And as far as I'm concerned, a liquor store does not belong. It does not fit the demographics of Sewell's Point. It just doesn't. I mean, like Ronnie said, we have Walgreens. We also have the public store that has a liquor store. They're both convenient for lots of people. I don't think we need one here in Sewell's Point. I also have one more comment I want to make about the planning, what you said about sending notices out. I worked as a property manager in 2 different locations. I worked on the island at Oceana, and I also worked at the one in Port St. Lucie as well. And when we had storms and things, I produced a whole program for all the residents, what would happen if we had an emergency. So if anyone's interested, I'll be happy to sit down and tell you how I worked it out, and it worked perfectly fine. But as for the liquor store, I don't think it fits the demographics of Sewell's Point.
Mike Antiel?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. Mike Antiel, 18 Fieldway Drive. So just 2 comments on this, but one extremely brief preamble, if you'll indulge me. I just want to make a comment. I met with Bob last week. I was making a fuss about some issue, and it occurred to me as I was walking out just how incredibly thankless municipal work can be, right? It is really stunning. As a resident, I know that we are quick to complain, we are slow to praise, and at the end of the day, we really don't pay attention the majority of the time until it's something that we feel like it affects us personally. I think that's doubly so for the elected officials, because you guys don't even get paid, but it certainly is true for Jack and Bob and April and Tina and everybody else. So from this taxpayer's perspective, I've got to tell you, I think you're doing a great job. I think all of you, elected and staff, are doing a phenomenal job. And I do mean all of you, even the ones I've locked horns with in the past. I don't see waste. I see prudence. I feel like we get so much for so little in this town. I did serve on the Code Enforcement Board, mixed feelings there, but that's a different issue for a different time. So that said, thank you very much, sincerely, to all of you. My heart goes out for anybody that's involved in politics this day and age with straw men and boogeymen and everything else. As far as the package store goes, I would agree with what's been said so far. Standards, are kind of important. I must say, as a resident, as a taxpayer, I am holding 2 extremely contradictory opinions on this particular subject. And I was hoping that tonight I would get a little bit more clarity, and I might be an inch closer to that. I think there is a massive difference between, what I'm hearing about the gourmet, Harbor Bay Gourmet versus the store that sells candy bars and lottery tickets. And that is really the crux of kind of the slippery slope that we potentially be looking at. I know that's what everybody's kind of thinking the same thing. So we are more in that direction, maybe that makes more sense. My only question would be, and I guess maybe we covered it, is kind of the actual timeline of this. Assuming this passes at the next meeting, like when are we talking about this store moving in? I'm kind of curious. curious, and I might have missed that. So those are my thoughts on that, and I'll be anxious to kind of gather more thoughts and at least tell you what I think at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay, that brings us to commission questions, comments. Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes, I'd like to speak to the owner.
Sure.
All right. The first thing I'd say, I've heard a lot of people mention the Publix and Walgreens multi-billion-dollar businesses. I'm looking at an individual who is a small business owner. So there's a big line, not just a fine line, it's a big line. There's a big difference on that. The other question I'm going to have is the hours. Is there any way you could do something like 9 in the evening, put a limit to when the liquor would be sold? The other thing is to eliminate pints, half pints, shots. Those are pretty much what alcoholics will frequent. When they'll come in, they look for a quickie, and down it goes, away it goes, in the street, in the garbage, wherever it winds up. The other question, which somebody did mention this fall, which it'd be nice to see, there's no place in Sewell's Point that serves breakfast, if I'm correct. That would be something that'd be nice for the community. I think a little more appealing than a liquor store on that end. That actually is, I don't know how well, I don't think a liquor store would do that great in that location, to be truthful with you. I didn't even know Stringer's was turning into another restaurant. This is all news to me as I'm finding all this out.
Yeah, we are currently working on trying to find a way to make that location sustainable. I think it's fair to say that the Pawnbroker Group would have renewed their lease had the business been going really well. They acknowledged themselves, my understanding, that the building needed to have an update and they knew change needed to be made, and we ultimately went into that location, giving it a good effort, putting a very big investment into it, and to be completely honest, it hasn't been exactly what we had hoped. And we're trying to find ways to ultimately make it sustainable and do it in such a way that is appealing to the local community and is respectful to everybody. We have no intention at all of having mini nip bottles being purchased at the store by random people walking by to be dumped around in the parking lot or nearby neighborhoods. That's not who we are. That's not what we'll stand for at all. We have every intention to go about this in a way that is appealing to the neighborhood. No, we do not want to be like a Walgreens or a Publix down the street over there. I've been in those stores to check them out, and they're, cookie cutter type of store. We're looking to be more of a boutique style where, like I mentioned before, we can have gift sets, charcuterie boards, perhaps retail, some clothing retail within that as well. Those are just some ideas that are being thrown around. The gentleman behind me did ask about a timeline, and it's hard to say what that timeline would be right here at this moment, only because we want to have approvals before we start making any steps further and having any additional expenses. We would hope that we would be able to get the store going sometime January, February-ish, to have it in the works. Whether or not it's open at that point, I don't know if that would be possible, but I don't think it would take too long to set up a store as such. We definitely, I think that the concerns that have been brought up are not concerns that I really saw coming, to be honest with you. I think the way that you've seen Stringers ran, as far as the staff that's in there, the people that are there, we're not running a location where we have underage people coming in and causing a ruckus. I think that we have a good reputation for being very respectable, and we look forward to continuing that with a package store as well. And adding a little bit of convenience to the people that are in this community. I think that there are quite a few people that would enjoy it from the people, at least that I've spoken to.
The other thing I would suggest, and I feel this should almost be tabled tonight and brought back later for the exact reason Mrs. Piccolo brought up. The reason being, this way, I'd like to see maybe you could have like an open door to the community for suggestions and alternatives maybe to a liquor store, a package store, and explain to everybody what would
Sure.
you can do, can't do, how you could communicate and be an asset for the community. I think that's really
Yeah, absolutely. We've never, ever thought of this situation, of trying to slide this through. This was an idea that came up. We've had a package license within our company that we haven't used for many, many years, that originally started from Conky Joe's, that moved down to Dolphin Bar and the gift shop. We never really utilized it down there, and we figured, why not try to utilize it, make it a part of this area, this community. We did this because we really thought that it would be something that the town most people would enjoy, and create a level of convenience and more sustainability for the business, and ultimately create more traffic within Harbor Bay Plaza. I don't think it's a secret to most. The Harbor Bay Plaza has not had the traffic that most stores need to be survivable. It's been a tough go for a lot of stores, and we need more traffic to make it sustainable over time. I think that's the key word here, is sustainability for not just us, but all the stores within that plaza, and if we can help them as well, we're all for it.
Yeah, and like I said, let me go back to, like, if you can reach out to the community for input before this
Sure.
even comes back here. I think it would help increase your business, and it would show, because it seems like you care. And,
Sure, we do.
I think that would make a big difference. Instead of putting it in our hands, I think this is something that you could actually control in a sense.
Sure.
Just reaching out to everybody, and the community is what supports you, and to hear them out and see what they want. And maybe they're gonna tell you, you might get 100 people a day that support your breakfast if you wanted to do something like that, and there might be another solution.
Based on the margins and traffic we would need for breakfast, I have a hard time being able to see that come to fruition with
That
labor.
was just an example.
I know. It was brought up, but what is attractive about this is this would be a way for us to create more business, more traffic within there without creating extremely high levels of labor. We have management and staff that's already built into the restaurant, where we could really, just the way we do it at the Dolphin Bar with the Dolphin Shop, we can have this business onto the side of that building there and be able to run that. And it could work really, really well for everyone, we believe, for financial purposes and of course, sustainability for us and other people. I think this would be a huge help to, I know that this would be a huge help to not just us, but other plaza businesses at Harbor Bay. It's, we need the traffic to be going through there.
I understand. Like I said, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
get happy
I
tenants
understand.
over there, because you're part of our community, and I want our community to be happy with the tenants. So everybody's getting along just fine, and there's no.
Yeah, we've got some great neighbors over there, we really do. A lot of people that care, that want to see that plaza be successful. We're one of them, and we just want to make it good for everybody, not just the businesses, the people in the community as well. So, are you suggesting that we have, at the next meeting perhaps, more public comment that's in favor of our store and ideas?
Yeah, feedback, like I said, where you can get community feedback and work maybe with the community and see, maybe there's some great ideas in this community that they could suggest to you. And it's nice to get to know the people that actually live here, and you'll get to know people on a first-name basis possibly. Yeah, I think it's just a matter of reaching out on both ends, and, it seems like we've had quite a few people call and talk to us, because it might be not quite understanding everything, and, it's,
Yeah.
sometimes you're afraid of something you shouldn't be afraid of.
Okay. Any other questions?
I did hear one thing that I thought was interesting, Dave, is you mentioned a couple of very specific issues that if we got to the point where we wanted to add some conditions to, the application as it currently is, I think we could do that. You were talking about, the little bottles and lotto tickets. We could probably put that into the conditions if that's something that we thought was important. Commissioner Burrell.
I have a few things I want to ask. First of all, as you say, you own the Dolphin Bar, so you're in competition with yourself. Stringers is in competition with Dolphin Bar down the road. So I don't know how that business model ever came about, but I don't think it was the greatest business model in the world. all right, to compete against yourself and then come here and say, well, you know, we're not doing very well, is, you know,
Exactly.
in my opinion, it's kind of shaky. That doesn't show me that the liquor store is going to work. The other thing that comes to mind is the possible sale. Now you're changing the name to the Catch, and that leads me to believe that maybe there's a possibility of a sale coming up. If that sale comes up, and you get the liquor store or the package store, that would only add to your sale price, and that would make it more appealing to somebody to buy it. If they're buying it with the license of doing a package store. So these are things that I'm concerned with. Now, I've owned restaurants. I know what the business is like. All right, I know it's a competitive business. And so I could never understand why this would be a competing force with the Dolphin Bar. You know, so those things don't make sense to me.
Brought that up. I'm very happy you brought that up. It's, you know, when we originally started the Stringers brand, the goal was in mind to create a more casual, family-friendly, cost-effective type of restaurant. And we started that build out, and it got a little bit more fancy than what we originally intended. And based on the neighborhood, we ended up kind of carrying it over into somewhat of a higher price point and whatnot, more of a upper class than what we originally intended to go with. So a lot of what we're doing right now is going back to the original plan of what we really, really wanted to do when we signed that lease over at Stringers. And that's do just that, casual, family-friendly, cost-effective type of restaurant that we feel like that would be more appealing to the majority of people, especially right now in our current economic state. We have no intentions of selling that restaurant. That's not a conversation right now. If we, you know, after the time being, this is why we're switching to the Catch restaurant. This is why we're rebranding this restaurant, is because we want to make it work for us, for our staff. It's in our benefit to make that work. It's not in our benefit to sell it. There's not a lot of value there. We put a lot of money into that restaurant. You know, probably a little more than we should have for a non-waterfront restaurant. And it's absolutely in our best interest to make that restaurant work. And having a package store on the side, would that increase the value? Maybe it would, but that doesn't mean that we would sell the package license with the restaurant. The package license, we've had that now for 40 years to be exact in the company, and I don't know that it would have, if the package store is doing well and it creates value, then that's every reason in the world for us to want to keep it. But if there is no value there, we're going to take that license and we're going to go down the road. We're going to, if it didn't work out. So there wouldn't be a situation where we would just do this as a scheme to, and we're very open and honest. We're not going to be shaky. We're going to be honest with our staff. We're going to be honest with our guests about exactly what we're doing at all times. It's important for us to be upfront with people.
Why not put it in Dolphin Bar?
Well, we've got a gift shop over there that's doing really well. You know, there was an idea at a time to do that. That's why the license was brought down there. To be honest with you, the gift shop is doing really well. The restaurant does really well. There's no good reason to have a liquor store within there.
Why not? Do really well.
It's not something that's ever been brought up. We've never had the intention of using it that way, but we are using this right now as a way to hopefully try to create more revenue within that business.
Yeah, I can't see that happening, only because you've got 2 liquor stores already. You've got Publix, and you've got Walgreens, and you've got a Fresh Market that sells wine. I don't see the need for a liquor store or package store here in Sewell's Point. I mean, we just created a non-market for marijuana. and saying, no, you can't sell it here, you can't smoke it here, you can't breathe it here, you can't do anything, and yet we're going to allow a package store.
I think there's a big difference there.
Well, it doesn't matter, either way, you know. I mean, that's just the way I feel. Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Fender.
Mr. Darley, first I want to just thank you for coming here.
Absolutely.
And also tell you that I love your restaurants and your chains, and so I think you're a valuable member of our community, so I appreciate all you're doing for helping the community out. I thought the Stringers build-out was amazing, especially certainly a step up from Prawn Broker. But, you know, I think you're getting a sense from just the comments you're hearing in the community that maybe the packaging of this, not that it's an inappropriate idea, but probably, as Ronnie stated, we have some optics and some communication has to happen with the community, because somebody said it earlier, maybe it was Mike, that the comparison with the marketing of a package store versus Harbor Bay Gourmet probably just resonates in the written media that gets transmitted leading up to a meeting like this, falls a little flat. So what I was personally hoping is that you were going to come here with some visuals and some things to show us a pretty awesome idea, which I'm sure is back there. And so I don't think this idea is done, and I'm a business owner myself, so I believe that, you know, lots of ideas come to fruition with time to germinate, and, you know, I don't pretend to know how to run your business and how to make it profitable. I understand the importance of it, and I certainly don't want to see you go out of business there, because I think Stringers adds significant value to the community. Probably the fact that the extension of that, from what I heard in today's meeting, and I haven't seen a graphic of how it's going to work or what it's going to be like, but probably just a pretty cool sales approach from your side to educate the community on what you want to build there, and maybe enhance it more. Maybe try to sell it more, less as a package store and more of a, I'm going to use the term Harbor Bay Gourmet, although that's something else. But what I'm trying to say is maybe some frilly words around what is being built and your business concept of what makes it acceptable in the community of Sewell's Point might make it more palatable to the people that I'm starting to see the, you know, emails back and forth on people that are commenting on the memo and not really understanding the depth of the idea and the way it was presented. So there's probably a little sales action that's
Yeah,
gonna
fair
happen.
enough. I didn't realize that I had to really come here to sell it tonight. I hadn't heard anything negative whatsoever. I had no idea.
Drop the hint
This
out
is
there a
very
little bit.
unexpected, to be completely honest with you,
No,
all the way around.
But I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
We wouldn't have made, to Ronnie's point, we wouldn't have made a decision here tonight anyway in ones that we usually do things in first, second, third readings, and we give the town a chance to understand and communicate. And so
Understood.
this is your
Everybody should.
first entry into dropping the idea. Maybe if you're passionate about this, as I hope you are, you'll come back with something.
Well, we also want it to be wanted as well. You know, if we're going to put a lot of effort into this area of the town, we want people to want what we want. We don't want to create a situation where people don't want what we're trying to do.
I understand.
We have two, you know, successful restaurants down the street that we can spend a lot of time and focus on, and we've been really spending a lot of time and focus over here. So we want you all to want this too. This isn't, we're not trying to force this down anybody's throat. We want this to be good for everybody.
I was just off the bar today, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful
Thank you.
facility, and the Stringers is a wonderful facility. And I'm sure that you don't want to put a quote-unquote package store there that doesn't fit with the ambiance of what the residents of Sewell's Point want, because it won't be successful regardless, right?
Sure.
So you want it to be a positive thing. From what I'm sensing from the communication you've had so far, you're under a little bit of pressure from the naysayers, but I believe you want to be successful, and I think we want you to be successful. I certainly do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Mayfield.
Yes, I just want to say, I too am a big fan of your establishments, and just let it be known, your restaurants have been around forever. You guys are well established. You're into restaurants. You've been doing it forever, for a long time. And you guys are good to the community at large. You guys are generous. You know, it's not just in the business to make money. They donate to all kinds of charities. And I think we're lucky to have you in Sewell's Point. So I want you to succeed. I want to see Stringer succeed. I was so excited that it was getting redone. I know a lot of people are. So I think most people want you to succeed. It was I think the package store term is very misleading. I read it and I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Because it's confusing. But You know, now that I've had more time to think about it and you're talking about it, and the Harbor Bay Gourmet was brought up, I've actually been to a place that is kind of a place that I think most people in Sewell's Point would love, where you know, they had the wine, they had charcuterie, it was classy, it didn't go late, and it was like a nice accent to a restaurant that was right next door. When people didn't want a full meal, but they wanted to go have some apps and a drink, they're like, okay, let's go right next door. So I think that if it's sold correctly, I think there are a lot of people that would like it. Like people, you know, it's so great having something down the street to go get a drink and enjoy your friends and then be home by 9. So if you do hours and what you're selling, but I think that if the word got out for a certain idea like that, I think there'd be a lot of positive reception for something like that. So those are my comments.
Okay, I agree with fellow commissioners are talking about it. I think it'd be a good idea to, and it was suggested by one of the speakers, is to, you know, maybe give us a little bit better idea of what a boutique, essentially a boutique package store looks like, because I don't think everybody is familiar with, you know, what Harvard Gourmet was before. I think that'd be helpful. And I think at the same time, we can instruct town manager to, you know, see if we can get some citizen input in terms of what kind of conditions they'd like to see. I mean, we've got some conditions here, but, you know, they might want to give us their input there because, you know, make it palatable for them. Because I think you can't make a liquor store make money, you're in a lot of problems. You know? Liquor stores make money, they don't go out of business. It's the way it works. Shouldn't anyway. So, yeah, if we could do that and then maybe get back to us at the next meeting with some of that input, and if you've got any additional information you can supply to Mr. Daniels, we can get it onto the website so people can look at it and understand a little bit better what you're trying to do.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Do you want to make a motion to continue this issue then to the next meeting? So you can take further public comment, and
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking for.
because I think we need to give something to the applicant so he knows, you know, a date certain, and we're running out of dates for meetings you know, for the rest of the year. We have basically 2 regular meetings that we have, the 12th of November and the 10th of December.
Right.
So because of the holidays. So,
I was going to say, I'll make a motion to put this on the agenda for November to discuss further, assuming the applicant is willing and we get input.
Vice Mayor Fender, you have anything? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Burrell?
No.
Commissioner Kurzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Mayfield?
Yes.
Mayor Tompeck?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fender?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us up to commission and staff closing comments. Town manager, let's talk about the Halloween event.
yes, as, you know, we plugged the, I don't have the date in front of me, but we plugged the Halloween event last time with the trunk or treat that we have. I believe it's the 25th or 26th, but we'll make sure that it's out on Constant Contact so everybody's aware of it. But, you know, that's the Halloween event from Premier Realty. It's also on their webpage. And then we also have the Halloween Half Marathon, which is going to be October 27th. And that's usually in the wee hours of the morning, and it runs from Stewart into Sewell's Point and then back again, I believe, is the course. We approved that at the last meeting. And that's all I had.
Okay, and we have an update on the general election early voting from the town clerk.
Yes. And I just wanted to add that the trunk or treat is Tuesday, October 29th from 5:30 to 7
I was close.
at Premier Realty. Early voting has begun yesterday, October 21st, and it'll be available through November 2nd from 8 o'clock to 5 p.m. at the Stewart Supervisor of Elections, the Hope Library, and the Robert Morgrade Library.
Thank you. That brings us to commissioner comments. I can lead off today. I just had one quick item. I went to the the board meeting of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council last Friday, and there was a really excellent presentation on the health of Lake Okeechobee and the surrounding waterways by a guy named John Moll, I think it is, the Martin County Environmental Resource Administrator. And I thought, since we're all interested in the health of our estuary, that I give you some of the highlights. The first highlight is that they have a new water control plan that was initiated or instituted effective August the 12th, this past. And what this plan, one of the elements of this plan is that there's going to be no releases until water level's at 17 feet. And why that's important is because previously they had different levels where they would start discharges, and now they're going to wait until they get to 17 feet, so there'll be less discharges. What they're shooting for are longer periods of no releases and short periods of larger releases. And they think that this program will reduce about 75% of the discharges, and we all think that's probably a good thing. There's been a 200% increase in discharges to the Everglades, and that's really where you want this water to go, is not into our estuary, but to the Everglades. The C-44 reservoir is now working, and that reservoir holds 45,000 acre-feet of water. If I had a calculator, I could tell you how many gallons that is, but that's a lot of water. The other thing they're working on, and I think this is an important issue, is they're working on programs for muck removal. You know, muck is at the bottom of the rivers and the lagoon, there's muck, and muck retains the legacy accumulation. In other words, some of the old nitrogen and phosphorus that's been in the water goes into the muck. And if it would stay in the muck, that'd be okay, but it becomes unsuspended if there's a disturbance at the bottom of the river or the lagoon. So that's about all I can tell you, because I don't have the technical background on this, but it all sounded very good to me, and I think we'll see less releases than we have in the past. The other thing that was good news is they talked about the Milton did not raise the level of Lake Okeechobee to less than 3 inches. So you know, usually we get a big storm like that, it hurts us in terms of raising the level of the lake and resulting in more discharges. And also, the wind is something that disturbs the water and makes it cloudy, and that hurts the seagrass. So none of those things happened this previous storm, so I think we're all very happy about that. Commissioner Mayfield.
Yes, quick question for you, Town Manager. When the houses on South Sewell's Point Road for sewer, the first phase, weren't they, can you quickly remind, there was a delay from the county, I believe, was for the hookup?
There was a delay in the controller
Yeah.
panel. That's been installed,
Okay.
and they had their DEP inspection on Friday, and we're just waiting on making sure that that permit comes out this week. We're expecting it by the following Friday. So we're hoping that by the middle of November, Martin County will have accepted the system, and we'll send out a letter to each one of our residents of the 169 connections, affording them the opportunity to connect.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Fender.
Town Manager, I don't want to put you on the spot. You
Okay.
may have this information, or you may not. We can go back and get it later if necessary. I just was wondering if you happen to know off the top of your head the status or progress of debris pickup on the peninsula?
Yes, well, I didn't get the briefing for today, but as of yesterday, what they've been doing is they're kind of serpentining the south end. They have one crew in the south end, they have one crew in the north end. That started in the north end today. They were taking care of a lot of the debris that we were storing in the back of our lot back here. But they're basically going serpentine, so they would go down like Oakwood and then come around and to the next street, but they would grab Sewell's Point Road when they're here, or River Road there. The problem being is their operation, if they just took South Sewell's Point Road, you'd be blocking traffic all the time. So they're trying to break it up so cars can still get through. And then once they reach the Ocean Boulevard, then they're going to come back and get the areas that were missed on Sewell's Point Road and on River Road, because it'll be a lot fewer to pick up, and it'll be less of a delay in the traffic. So that's their game plan. So the stopping point was Palm, I believe, yesterday, and I don't know how far they've gotten on the south end today. On the north end, they were finishing up Plantation and moving south from there. So I'll have an update and put that out, so you have it.
Did I hear that we have reimbursement on all of that debris pickup activity from the
There's
state?
a percentage reimbursement, but until we get to the actual FEMA claims and stuff, we kind of work with them on it. Generally, it's 75% or more.
I thought there was an announcement from the governor that they were going to cover 100%.
Okay,
I just happened to hear that in passing.
could be. It's,
Well, we should look
a
at-
lot
if
of
it's an
times we're dealing
opportunity,
with
we should look
FEMA,
at-
which is on the national, federal side, and maybe there's state funding that they have available to make up that difference.
Did your crew give us any indication on how long they thought it would take to complete the task?
It'll probably be about another week to week and a half.
Okay, all right. Thanks for the info.
Commissioner Kurzman.
Yes, I sent something to the town manager. There's grants available to move the lines underground.
Power
And-
lines?
Power lines.
Right
And
now.
I couldn't tell you directly because of sunshine, but I did send something to the town manager, and if we could look into that, if they could pay for almost all of it, that'd be wonderful. If they can't, we can't afford it.
Well, I think maybe it might be a good idea,
Power outages.
Mr. Daniels, that we get an update on all the grants in the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Mr. Torcivia, do you have something you'd like to add tonight?
We'll have our moment in the sunshine next meeting.
Ooh, yay.
Motion to adjourn? We're adjourned, thank you.